Welcome to the Libertarian Leadership Academy daily live stream. Yesterday, we had a candidate scheduled to come on board, but the weather here at the Pacific Northwest was not cooperating and knocked out our power for a full 24 hours, which was actually awesome. I got to read a book, I lit some candles, read a book. It was great. But the power is back on today, and we are joined by an entrepreneur, a family man, a professional gentleman with insurance. Like, this guy has got it all, and I'm very excited to introduce him. He is Scott Jewett, running for governor of Florida. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Michael. Nice to be on your program here.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and start with a question that I like to ask every candidate running for office, and that is, why are you running?
So my father, who's passed away, was a libertarian, and he got involved in the party, supported some candidates, and my father was my moral and ethical beacon. Whenever I thought about what should I do in this situation, I thought about what would my dad do. And so that got me started in the Libertarian Party. And as a business person and as a family member, I hate to see waste. So the fact that that this state is got just an absolute disaster with homeowners insurance, and those rates have gone up so incredibly much. My home here, in the last 5 or 6 years, it's over doubled. And I'm also supporting initiative to eliminate the property tax for homesteaded homeowners here in the state of Florida. We can meet all of our needs, pay the police appropriately, have our schools be exceptional, and get rid of this ongoing just rent tax on people that own their homes. I see people that have fixed income, elderly, that lose their houses because of these two outrageous expenses.
Yeah, and even if you're only a few $1,000s behind, they'll still take your house and auction it off. Is that right?
It absolutely is right. So, you may have your mortgage paid off, but if you don't pay your property tax, they'll take your home away.
Yeah, property taxes are out of control right now. This year I paid $13,000 on 3 different properties that I own, and that's over $1,000 a month going to the government. And we homeschool, right? So we're not using the education system, right? The potholes are crazy around here. Infrastructure isn't that great. It's like, where's all this money going?
Well, and the amount that they collect in property tax has gone up 60% in the last 4 or 5 years. The amount paid by homesteaded homeowners is only about a third of the collections. So if we got rid of property tax for all of us that own our homes and are homesteaded, it's just going to bring the budget back a few years. And the state was doing just fine then, and we had great police and great schools. So we can continue to do that. We just have to cut the wasteful spending.
Yeah. I'm going to offer a suggestion. I agree with the ending property taxes, absolutely. But think about this. What if we just made them voluntary? Right? So the people who are like, they really want the property taxes, they want to increase it for, increase a levy to improve the schools or improve the fire department or whatever, they vote yes. Guess what? They can pay more. And then for those people who are on a fixed income, they can't really afford it. They're choosing between food or paying their property taxes, or paying their mortgage and paying their property taxes, or car payment, property taxes, right? They're able to say, you know what? We can't afford this, so we're just going to opt out of this increase. What do you think about that?
I call that libertarian brilliancy. And you know what? I think highly of most people. I think some of the most charitable people I know have a lot of money. So I think those that have can give, and if you don't, it's prohibitive. So I like that idea. I don't know how that gets put into action. But I think we should start with getting a single initiative on the ballot here in November that allows people to say, I don't want to pay my property tax anymore, and let's stop these elderly and fixed income and poor people here in the state from literally losing their homes.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a travesty, especially if they own it outright. They've they've already paid into it many years of their lives, and a lot of people on fixed income, they just can't afford the increases. Like, I am selling 2 of the properties because I just can't afford it. And then our government here in Washington state, they just allowed local governments to triple the increase. Like, they just opened the cap. It used to be 0.1%. Now they can triple the amount, 0.3%, and it's just going to keep going up and up and up. So instead of hanging on to these properties and building wealth for my family, I listed them on the market to sell them because I just can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm
And it's
sorry to hear
sad.
that. And here in the state of Florida, it's the local, the city governments that are collecting these property taxes, and there's a lot of wasteful programs being funded.
Oh yeah,
because they're rife with money, and you got their pet projects and their friends and collaborators, and we just need to stop it.
yeah, absolutely. So you have a very interesting background, and I'd like to ask you about this because you're a CEO. You've been a CEO for multiple companies. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've been most of my career in the franchising industry, and been the CEO of a number of franchises. The one that, as soon as you mentioned being a CEO, the one that resonated with me was I was the CEO of a company when 9/11 happened, and we had been doing some testing to protect Americans against terrorist attacks. And I was actually called by the Department of Defense to tour the Pentagon building right after 9/11. I went in there; they were still digging out. And they said, how do we protect this building against future attacks? And I got to tell you, Michael, it was the most positive feeling out of being a CEO that I could ever imagine. To be there, I actually invented and patented the solution for the U.S. Pentagon. We protected the entire building. They did a whole bunch of news around this. I was on the Discovery Channel. But just to know that I was helping protect that building, the most important building in America almost, right, against a future attack, was just one of the highlights of my career.
Awesome. On your website, you talk about leading the new Libertarian 2.0 party. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, it struck me in getting involved in the Libertarian Party, and I was a delegate in Washington, D.C., and working with Mike Tremont's campaign for the presidency. And we really just don't get a very high percentage of the vote in almost any area in America. And I couldn't just sit back and say that's okay. And I think a lot of the party is very extreme. And my opinion is we got to focus on turning the needle, not making immediate drastic changes in America. I think that that's unpalatable to most voters. And so I support all the libertarian ideals, but I think we've got to start by just turning that needle a little bit and getting in the right direction instead of aggressive, drastic changes that make it difficult for voters to jump aboard.
Gotcha. Yeah. And there's very extreme libertarian positions, and then there's moderate step in the right direction libertarian positions. I support libertarian candidates across the board. I think there's too much infighting when it comes to this, like moving the needle or turning the dial all the way, right? And I support candidates at all different angles, and I believe if we just did that, right? If a candidate wants to be extreme, go for it. If a candidate wants to be more moderate, go for it. Like, it's all good to me. So what your idea is for Libertarian Party 2.0 is to just move the dial on issues, right? Step in the right direction.
Yeah, and some issues I want to take drastic action on, like the homeowners insurance and the property taxes. A pure libertarian perspective is, that people can do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting others. But I can't see myself being okay with letting somebody who doesn't have enough money for medical care to die on the streets, or somebody that can't afford housing to not have any help at all. So as much as the Libertarian Party and the Libertarian concept is let people do what they want. And if they don't want to pay for medical insurance, they don't have to, or whatever it might be, it still causes that emotional and humanistic thing of how, I got to protect people sometimes. So
Sure.
there are people that need help. There was a woman that was in my Starbucks every morning who was homeless. And one day she wasn't there, and they said, oh, she got arrested because she was sleeping in a church. And I thought, she was not harming anybody. And I get it. They didn't want her sleeping in the church, but to have her sleeping outside in her 60s and definitely mentally disabled,
Yeah.
I can't see us not doing something about that. So I want to do good by people that really need it and help them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What do we do in those situations like that? Obviously, she's 60 years old. She doesn't have any income. She's, mentally handicapped to where, she obviously can't function in society. She might have destroyed all of her relationships, right? What do we do at that point?
Well, yeah, and that's where turning the needle makes sense, right? There's certain people that need help. I don't see where 1 in 8 Americans needs food supplied to them. That seems extreme, but there are people that just don't have the mental capacity to earn money for themselves, take care of themselves, get off the streets, and I think we need to do something about it. So I think we need to cut back these programs and be a little more selective about who we help and make sure that it's those people that truly need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically just checking in on them, making sure that the ones that are taking advantage of the system that are also capable are no longer taking advantage of the system, right? It just seems like, and
Yeah.
not just people, but it seems like there's a ton of politicians and NGO organizations that are also taking advantage of the system and, getting all this taxpayer funds. And, I saw a report somewhere like all these NGOs, they're spending 90% of their revenue from the tax dollars on salaries, right? That's not actually going to the
Right.
people that they're claiming. In Seattle, we have $1 billion homeless infrastructure, and it's growing. The amount of homeless people are growing, and the money's not actually going to the people who need it. It's going to pay salaries.
Well, and I believe if we cut taxes, cut homeowners insurance, cut the waste, that people will be more generous. If you can't give unless you have. So, government hasn't proven itself to be a good steward of our money.
What? What are you talking
Can you
about?
believe it?
What?
I believe people will do it directly more. And you know what? We see that all the time when there's a disaster for a family or somebody that they start a GoFundMe and people send money and people bring support. So
Yeah.
I think most Americans are good-hearted and want to help people.
Sure.
We're taxed to death, so we don't feel like we've got any ability to do it anymore.
Yeah, like I was telling you before the show, I'm paying over $1,000 a month in property taxes and insurance, right? So I know insurance is your top issue. How do you make insurance more affordable?
So this is one where I've learned a lot, Michael. I brought in an advisor to my campaign who's an insurance expert. He owns a couple big insurance companies. And I said, these insurance companies are just taking advantage of Floridians. And he said, Scott, he says, I've been in those rooms. I've seen those executives. They want to help people. It's the regulators that are the problem. It's the system that's a problem. He said, you've lost most of the carriers in the state of Florida. They're leaving the state. He says, you can't tell me that if they could just make a reasonable profit on $5,000 a year per house, that they wouldn't flock to Florida to insure the homes. The problem we've got in this state is only about 8% of what you pay in homeowners insurance is paid out for damages and repairs on people's homes. most of it is going to litigation, to lawyers, to lawsuits, to the infrastructure to have people sue the insurance company, and the insurance companies defending themselves. We collected $65 billion last year, and about 60% of it went to litigation costs. So
Wow.
we could cut our bill by 60% tomorrow just by getting rid of the fact that, this goes to court almost every single time.
Well, lawyers aren't going to be happy with you, I can tell you that much.
They aren't going to be happy with me. And you know what? There was I don't know if you saw the news a few weeks ago or months ago. My street got flooded to the point where cars got stalled out and they had to be towed out in the morning. The whole street filled up with water. It looked like a lake. And my roof leaked in my bedroom. So I called somebody that's a roof repair, and he says, well, it's probably the flashing around your moon roof in the ceiling. And he says, but I can get a litigator involved and we can get you a whole new roof. And he said, it'll take a year and a half. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody would love a brand new roof, but are we all willing to pay these kind of rates for that process? Because all he has to do is say, look, I'm a contractor. The whole roof is shot because of the storm. The insurance company says, no, it's just the flashing around the moon roof. And the next thing you know, we've got 2 years, they said a year and a half of litigation.
Yeah, you're in
Crazy.
court. Yeah. And your insurance goes up.
Exactly. Mine, as I mentioned, has doubled in the 5 years I've owned my house here.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
It is. So running for governor is a big deal, right? It's the highest office in the state of Florida. How do you plan on getting your name out there and getting your ideas out there to the general public?
Well, thanks to you, this is a good start. I'm a big proponent of AI and using technology, and I see the way campaigns have been run in the past. I've been told that I should, logo up a van and drive the state for 3 months, going to every meeting that I can go to. That has its place, but the way to really reach people is through social media, is through YouTube, is through broadcasting, is through press, is through editorial. To me, that's the effective way to get the word out to people, to educate them and say, look, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm going to do. And here's how I'm going to do it. So I plan to leverage technology, social media, and public relations primarily for my campaign.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So you're talking about running ads on Facebook or YouTube, getting, putting some video content together. Is that it?
Yeah, I've produced about 80 videos. I've got a bunch of shorts. I've got 3 podcasts that I've done. The Floridian ran a couple of articles on me. I've got a lot of the past press I've got on my website. I'm on Ballotpedia. So I'm trying to be just like I will be as the governor of the state of Florida, is make the dollar stretch a long way. I don't need the millions of dollars that a lot of politicians say they need to win a governor's seat. I'm going to do this lean and strong and smart and not spend a lot of money.
Gotcha. So you said you helped out Mike Trematt on his campaign, and obviously he's left the Libertarian Party and went over to the Republican Party, the Republican Liberty Caucus. What made you decide to just continue as a Libertarian and go for it as a Libertarian?
So they have actually asked me. They said, look, Scott, if you'll convert to the Republican Party and join the Liberty Caucus, we'll do a big press release and support your campaign. But I just don't align with either party, Michael. The two parties have gotten so divisive and so extreme, and I support some of the things that the Republican Party is known for, but I also support some of the things that the traditional Democratic Party stands for. So I look at myself as fiscally responsible and socially more liberal and supportive of people. And I don't think that speaks to either party. You know, what's interesting, Michael, is when I tell a lot of my friends are wealthy business people here in the state, and a lot of them are very strict Republicans, and I say, well, I'm running as a libertarian. And you know what they say to me? What is that? And
Yeah.
most of them think it means liberal, right? Libertarian,
Yep.
which technically means freedom, not necessarily Democrat. I said, well, I think that we ought to keep religion out of politics. And I think we ought to cut our taxes and make the government more lean. And I think we ought to support people in need to some degree. So I would consider myself a mix of those. The abortion issue, that should be between a woman and her doctor. Why is a politician making grand sweep decisions that affect their decision? The doctor already has the Hippocratic oath to do no harm. So I want to give the freedom back to the people, and that doesn't fit either party right now. So I can't, in good conscience, join the Republican Party, Liberty Caucus or not, and I certainly don't support the Democratic Party. And when I tell people that, I have more and more people that I say, this is what I stand. They say, well, I'll be darned, I'm a libertarian. Yes, you are. You just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't know what the word even means, but if you break it down, you have liber, which means liberty or freedom, and tarian, the suffix, just means believer in, right? So like a vegetarian, they believe in eating vegetables, right? So libertarian, just someone that believes in liberty and freedom. And liberty, by definition, is the absence of outside control or oppression over our lives, as long as we're not infringing on the person, property, or natural rights of another. It's very simple. And the opposite.
And that's one of the challenges we have in the Libertarian Party is, and it's an opportunity, right? Because we can educate people that, wow, I'm a libertarian. That I believe in what you believe, Scott and Michael. But it also takes a lot to educate people. You got to get out there. So it's incumbent upon all of us, and you're doing a great job of this, of letting the word be known, what we stand for, where we are. And I do hear that the Libertarian Party has its infighting or conflict. I think we're past that now. I think
just stay away from it. Stay away from the infighting.
There's no reason for it. We're all on the same team here. We all want the same things, whether we're extreme libertarians or more moderate. I think we can all agree that the concept of liberty and freedom, we can all agree on.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people think the political spectrum is Republican on one side, Democrat on another side, but that's not true. It's libertarian on one side, authoritarian on the other side, because authoritarian just means you believe in the authority of the state, of someone else's authority to control your life. So that's the two polar opposites there. And then closer to the authoritarian side is you have Democrats and then you have Republicans. So,
but and here's the opportunity here in Florida. About a third of our voters are neither Republican nor Democrat. They're Green Party, they're independent, they're libertarian. So if we can get them to support me and just pull a little bit from the other two parties, right? Just convert some of the Republicans, Democrats that believe in what we believe in. We've got a really good shot to make history.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be the first governor of any state in the history of the United States that's a libertarian.
Well, I think you should do your next video as what is a libertarian and why people should support your campaign. Like that should be the video that you put out there. We've got a gubernatorial candidate here in Washington State, and we've started spending $5 a day on Facebook ads, and the page has grown by 700 people just in the past couple of months, just spending $5 a day, just sponsoring different posts and trying different things out. That could be something that you guys do just on Facebook. We're not even doing YouTube ads or, X or anything else like that. And just $5 a day. So it's super reasonable.
Well, that's great management.
Yeah, that's lean. There we go. But at least the message is getting out there.
Done. And see, there you go. You don't have to spend a lot. You look at, I just get frustrated when I see waste. I just can't stop thinking about it. I'll tell you a funny story. I had my neighborhood is lined with big trees, and they are growing up and getting close to the the power lines, and then so they go up there and trim them. And one day I got a
Sure.
letter from the city here. It said, we need to cut down the tree. It's going to interfere with the power lines. And it said something about $750. And I thought, what, they're going to charge me to take out the tree in front of my house? Well, it turns out they paid me $750 for the right for them to take the tree on their own property. It's on the city's property, and take it down.
I've
So
never heard of that.
they
The
removed the
government
tree.
actually paid you money.
Wait, it gets better. They took the tree out, and as they're cutting it down, the police show up at my door and said, your neighbors called. You didn't get a permit to take the tree out. I said, it's not my tree. I'm not taking it out. So here's the police wasting their time.
Yeah.
3 months later, Michael, you will not believe this. We're at home. We hear some noise out front. The city is out there with big trucks and cranes. And my wife went out and said, what are you doing? And they said, we're insulating the power line so your tree doesn't hit the lines. My wife said, but the tree was taken out 3 months ago. And the guy shrugged and he said, well, it's in the budget. So after they took the tree out, there's nothing near the power lines. They're all wrapped in insulation. That must have cost, to take the tree out and then insulate those lines, must have been $30,000 or $40,000. There was whole teams out there.
So
What
it's
a waste.
mismanagement, no common sense, no logic whatsoever.
What a waste, right?
Yeah.
And then you drive down 95. I've lived here for 10 years now. The same spots have been under construction. Nobody's doing anything on them. All these people are waiting in traffic.
Mhm.
And Michael, I can't think of an easier thing to build than pouring concrete and letting gravity flatten it out, right? So why these aren't just fixed and we just go on, I don't understand. I think it's just poor management, waste, government bureaucracy that's causing most of the things that we could easily fix here in this state.
Yeah, so I live in coastal Washington, just north of Long Beach, Washington. And if you drive up and down, there's two main roads, and you drive up and down, and there's trees on either side of the road. And every year, multiple times a year, the power goes out. There were 5 trees that went down yesterday on the power lines. And It's just like, and you can see, like, there, trees all the way up and down the road, and it's happening multiple times a year. And it just seems like the government is okay with it, letting the trees just fall on the power lines and just calling it good.
Well, come to Florida and they'll take the tree out and then they'll protect the wires anyways.
Yeah. And waste more money.
Yeah, we'll waste the money twice. I did have a beautiful tree out there. It's kind of sad that it's gone.
Yeah, knowing that they were just going to come and insulate the power lines anyways, like they could have just done that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you have anything, we're coming up on 30 minutes. Is there any other message that you'd like to share? How do people find you? How do they get involved with your campaign?
Yes. So my website is Scott Jewett, ScottJewett.com. I've got lots of information there. I would love support. So click on the donate, even if it's $5 or $10. Get involved. Make your voice heard through getting me elected to be the governor of this state. I guarantee you I will run it efficiently with compassion. I will watch every nickel. I can't stand waste. I'm a good business guy. I know how to control those things. I will fix this disaster of homeowners insurance, I promise. And if I have anything to do about it, we're going to get that initiative in front of the voters in November to eliminate property tax on homesteaded properties. There's no reason we can't do that and have stellar police departments, the greatest schools in the nation. We've got plenty of property tax from commercial buildings and people that are out of state. So that's why they should support me, because I will save them boatloads of money on their homes and improve the efficiency of this state drastically.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me ask you this. Homesteaded property, what does that mean?
So the state of Florida has homestead laws, which means that your home is protected from a couple things. One is from litigation or collections. So In other words, people can't have their homes taken away because of some kind of a lawsuit or debt or something like that. And the other
Gotcha.
thing it does is it has some kind of caps on property taxes for existing homeowners. So there's only a certain amount it can increase every year. So homesteading is rare in the United States. Florida is one of the few states that has it, and we have one of the strongest homestead laws in the country that protect homeowners against those things. Ironically, it's not protecting us against our own government taking a home because we didn't pay our property tax. So in one hand, it's protecting some homeowners against collections or other things or frivolous litigation. But on the other hand, we're at risk because the property taxes have gone up so much that people just can't afford to pay the government anymore.
Man. So it
It's like paying
protects,
rent on your own house. It's crazy.
yeah, so it protects the homeowner from like credit card debt or any other medical debt, so their house doesn't get taken, but it doesn't protect against property tax debt.
How ironic is that?
Yeah. So what happens when they take the home? They auction it off and keep the money?
Yeah. Yep. You're out. They'll foreclose on your house and evict you.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can imagine who that's hitting the hardest. It's hitting the elderly, the fixed income, the
People who are sick.
Yeah. People that have paid off their home, have no mortgage, and still can lose their home.
Wow. That's insane.
It is
That's
insane.
You're doing the Lord's work by talking about this stuff, getting these issues out there and waking people up to it. So I hope you start running ads, man. $5 a day. Get it going. Get it going.
I will take your advice, my friend. And your support has been fantastic. The education you're giving all of us candidates across the country, you're really helping the Libertarian Party and ultimately Americans, because I think this is our time, Michael. This is the opportunity that Libertarians have never had before. The two parties have lost most people. They just have.
Yeah, I think it's ripe for third parties. It's ripe for new ideas. People are more open than ever because the two major parties, I mean the two old parties, the Republicans and Democrats, are not providing any real solutions. And it's just polarizing. So what you're doing, I am super grateful. We need more candidates stepping up all across the country at all levels of government. You know, someone like yourself who's been a CEO, who has a lot of this experience, you know, running for governors is probably a doable thing for you. Whereas, you know, other people, I'm going to start at a, you know, county commissioner level or a PUD commissioner level, something lower. You know, and that's totally fine. We need candidates all across the board at all levels of government. So I really appreciate you running for office. For those who are watching that would like to get involved with Scott's campaign, you can go to scottjewett.com. If you'd like to run for office, let's say you're in another part of the country, please reach out to me. You can find us at libertarianleadership.org. We have a school group, which is there's a ton of video trainings in there on how to run and fundraise and, you know, social media ads and all kinds of training in there. So please join us in there. But yeah, thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. And all you folks out there running for office, contact me. I love to collaborate. I've worked with Mike Dermott. I'm working with Ralph Groves running for the 11th District. We got to support each other. So join us and collaborate and share ideas, and let's win some elections this time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you again.